Right, we're on now. What's on the television?
Oh.
It's alright.
I haven't got COVID.
Okay.
You haven't?
No, I haven't.
Off.
It's alright,
That
mate.
help.
You can do.
See if that helps.
We have life.
We do.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Sorry the page disappeared. I put a load of posts on that were supposed to rock the boat, and they clearly did, and things sort of happened. So we've got a little bit of good news. Sorry, let me just sort this out. Let me get some more. Let's just wait for a minute for some more people to come on. Hello Linda. Hi Shani. Hello Alan James. Jackie and Rob. Hello Mrs. Brannigan. Emma, how are you? You alright? I hope you're all well. Well, there's a few people on now, so we'll just get on, shall we?
It's
been quite a good week, been quite productive. We heard indirectly, and we're waiting for proper evidence to suggest that what we pushed for was for the young lad who I called Kiddo over on the Isle of Man. We pushed to get the adoptive parents to revoke all parental responsibility of the young man who's over on the island. We're quite fortunate in as much that allegedly the paperwork has been sent in to ensure that that's going to happen. So yeah, we've tried, haven't we, mate? We've tried to do everything the right way. We've tried all the correct procedurals to try and get the lad Kiddo home. Even spoke to the social worker directly. We've got the recorded call, which of course will be posted, where I state, quite significant concerns for the safety and well-being of Kiddo from the Isle of Man. I also mentioned that the adoptive parents have allegedly terminated all parental responsibility of the young lad over on the Isle of Man. So aside from talking to a lot of social workers and managers and not really getting anywhere, we tried to go down all the right channels, didn't we?
All of them, mate. Everyone.
All the correct procedural ways, and I don't know what else there was to do. Bear with me.
So we had to go to plan B.
Yeah, go on. So, yeah, it worked. He's obviously home now. Best thing in the world. I am really happy. I really am. I haven't been this happy in flipping years, sorry.
Good boy.
Trying to curve my language a bit. I'm really, really grateful for your support and everything, and I am. I couldn't have asked for a better community to come together and support us.
And I've never been this happy for a long time. And I'm glad that I'm home with my family and my dad that actually care and love for me.
We promised you, didn't we, that you'd be home by Friday gone.
Yeah.
We promised you, under whatever circumstances, you will be back on home soil with your brother and your father, in the hope that you'll be meeting up with mum and sister again soon.
Yeah.
We promised you that, didn't we?
You did.
And although we tried to go down all the correct channels, we proved their lack of safeguarding by getting you home, didn't we?
Definitely, yeah.
How long was it, young man, until anybody actually showed any concern and phoned and asked where you were and questioned if you were all right and your welfare?
It was 16 hours until they realised that I was gone. And then 16 hours.
16 hours, and then they called you. Who called you?
It was the police from the island van.
So not even placement or a social worker called you?
No.
In 16 hours after you'd left that placement?
No.
Right. And then who phoned you? The police?
The police on the island van.
And what did they ask you? What did they say?
They said, James, where are you? And I said, sitting at my dad's table, eating breakfast with him. And then they were like, so where is your dad? And I'm like, I don't know where that is. And then they said, well, we'll find out. And I said, okay. you can find out. And then they ended it. And then about the following day, there were a policeman that came through the door and said, am I safe? Am I loved? And am I well? And I said, yes, I am. I've never been this happy in my life.
Are you happy?
Immediately, yeah, I'm so happy.
Well, I can tell you, I'm over the moon.
Do you see a brighter future ahead of you?
100%.
More so than last week?
1,000,000%.
Is it fair to say that social services were supposed to be trying to get you home some 5 or 6 months ago?
Yes.
And since then they've gone silent. They haven't produced the documentation or the reports on the assessments required to get you home in that quick time.
Yes.
And we are, of course, going to be sending all relevant documentation, including telephone calls, regarding the ignorance of these professionals who should be there, first and foremost, to safeguard you, secondly, to listen to your wishes and feelings, and thirdly, do what is right for you, the young person in their care that they are allegedly caring for. And it's obvious for all to see when these videos get posted up of recorded calls that safeguarding was at the very bottom of the list of their things to do, with extreme concerns for both his mental health and of threats of violence from others, not only in the placement but outside on the street. Some of it, no doubt, due to what his older brother may have been up to on the Isle of Man, but nonetheless, a safeguarding issue with concerns from people such as the police commissioner or the chief inspector of police on the Isle of Man, who stated, whilst on a phone call to his father, to Nipper, that he was in fact at a future risk of harm and that his life was in imminent danger on the Isle of Man. We went down all the right channels, boys, and we tried, didn't we? And
yeah,
one
did,
thing
yeah.
I didn't ever want to do, praise God, is let you down. We said that we'd get you home for Friday. It got to the point where I tried my very, very best of being cool, calm and collective and acting for you, your brother and your dad as an advocate, and trying to get answers to questions that you had and reasons as to why things were being prolonged, or being ignored or pushed to the wayside, whichever. But regardless, very unprofessional to say the very least, considering the safeguarding concerns that many other professionals had, young man, for your life. It was a pleasure that we went to Plan B, absolute pleasure. There was times we didn't think we were going to make it because the car started playing up, but we got there, we met you, and we brought you back to your dad to safety because I had no choice but to come and get you. You're already on your way. Someone had to show that they were concerned for you and somebody had to safeguard you. So I had no option but to meet you and take you back to your father. So, what have you been up to? Has it been nice bonding, getting a relationship back with your dad?
Amazing. Still got a lot to learn though.
You've got a lot to make, and the world's your oyster now, boys.
Too right.
Whatever happened to you on that island, or whatever life, whether you took a right path or wrong path, all that stuff that went on previously is now past. You're on new terra firma. You're with your dad. You've got your gran and stuff around you. You've got your mum and your other siblings, which is great. And all I can say is upwards and onwards. And I'm glad that between me and your dad and our sheer determination to do what was morally right for you, not for anybody else, but for you, including not for your dad, it was for you. It was clear you needed the support of your brother, and it was clear that you needed the love and support from your mum, your dad, your siblings, and all your other family members. All right, it's been a long, long process for you both. And the rest of you as a family. And a lot of people, unfortunately, don't get the time to come to this point in life.
Yeah.
And I'm really pleased for you. And I really look forward to watching you two grow into good young men, with a direction in life. And with everything to live for. Absolutely everything to live for. What do you want to say to these people?
I want to say thank you, and I do. I really want to say thank you. All support, all comments. We have obviously got a long life together now. He's not going anywhere, you know what I mean? But yeah, I can't wait to make so many memories with you and my dad. It's unreal. Thank you.
And what about you, kiddo?
Just the same. Thanks for everything and everything yous have done, and support.
There'll be plenty more support out there for you boys. Plenty more support. And it just goes to show. And prior to coming online, your dad produced numerous libraries of CDs with recordings on of your contacts and stuff. You haven't changed much.
No, I haven't really.
But nonetheless, it's all evidence. All that recorded stuff that your dad and your mum took all those years ago is all evidence that can only suggest that they were caring, loving parents that did everything in their power to keep you. And unfortunately, because of the terrorist atrocities caused to numerous families from Wakefield District Council, that just another number. But we will be reproducing these videos and the stuff that you did, Wayne, back in the day, and we'll start pushing on again.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of you, mate. I'm glad that you trusted and believed in your dad and I, and more so, I'm glad that you had the courage to finally pick up and kick off to somewhere that you feel safe, loved, and you've got a whole future ahead of you. You've lost 12, 13 years, you guys. There's a lot of memories to make and what have you. And from what I believe, you already started that. So,
but to be honest, it don't feel like a day's gone by. You know what I mean? It done.
It's good, huh?
It's really good. It is really good, yeah.
Is there anything else you want to say to these guys?
No, just thank you. Just really, I appreciate everything. Obviously, I appreciate you, Shane, for helping me and my dad.
I've got your lads' backs like you'd never believe. And the moral of this whole thing is we're going to go into stuff over. It's going to take probably a long period of time, but we want the general public to get an honest insight into what adoption can look like. Especially forced adoption, and you touched on when you were speaking before, you were 5 years old.
Yeah, I was.
You already knew who your mum and your dad were. You already knew who your grandma was and your aunties and your uncles. Like, how can you expect that child to completely disregard their former life, their caregivers, and recognise somebody else as their mum and dad? It can't ever happen, which is why, of course, you struggled. But how many other kids are going through the same thing?
Exactly, and to be honest, I'm so glad I got this opportunity, because a lot of kids don't get the opportunity to reunite with their parents, and especially after the length of time which we were gone, 12, 13 year. So no, it is amazing.
Would you reach out to other kiddos in care that are going through stuff and seek to get families, if they're in imminent danger and stuff, would you encourage families to come forward and see?
Of course I would. 100%. And if, it's the best thing to do, because we are people knowing, you haven't got that support behind you to help you. And it is a very difficult time, and people can't do it on their own, and they need that extra person to talk to and stuff, because it's difficult.
Yeah, it is. Anything you want to say, kiddo? Or do you want to save it for another?
I'm just glad I'm home for Christmas.
You're glad you're home. We told you were going to be home for
Christmas,
mate.
Christmas.
I can't wait for Christmas, I really can't.
Can I just say to everybody out there watching and listening, please don't ever give up. As hard as it is, it's a fight, and it is a fight with the system as it is, but don't give up. Please don't. And I want to thank everybody for the support, and we're going to have the best Christmas ever out there, and I'd say to anybody, please don't give up. And we've got 12 years to make up, and we have. And no matter what they say, what they do, just keep on fighting. And I want to say a big thank you to Shane, his wife, obviously, Nikki, that's been supportive to me throughout this journey, and all we want to do now is move forward. But please, I would say to anybody out there listening, don't ever give in. Don't think there's there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and there is, and all I want to do now is move forward. And I do want to thank everybody for all the support and help they've given us throughout this, and if we can help anybody else, we all want to help other kids, that's in this situation, and hopefully, You know, they're not going to look these kids that's been abused in care. You know, they think there's no end, no life. There is. Hold in there, hang in there. You know, there's people out there that love you, and there's people that's going to support you. And believe me, this is the happiest day of my life, and I just want to thank everybody out there for the support and that. Thank you so much to you all. Yeah?
Is it fair to say you've got some fight left in you, boy?
Oh, yes. It's there.
Is it fair
Most definitely.
Is it fair to say, Sunshine, that the energy and the fight you had in you to get your own kids back, you've got them back now? Is it fair to say that that's still there?
It's still there.
Is it fair?
Definitely still there.
Is it fair to suggest that I called it a war because you were going for a war back in 2008, 2009 and onwards? Would you say that is still imminent in your forefront? Would you say that that's still, you've still got the fight and the drive from that to assist others?
You know, what I would say is this. Knowing I've got my boys back, and it's been the hardest journey ever, and I'm never going to give in. I told Wakefield Social Services, you know, you've lied, the perjury you've committed and things, you know, you've removed my children, and I know there's a lot of people out there that are on the understanding that local authorities do not remove children for nothing. Well, I'm afraid they do. Believe me, they do. And this is a test to prove this, you know, that my children have been removed. They've been through hell and back whilst being in local authority care, you know, and we're moving on now as a family. We're working together, you know, and getting them on straight and narrow. And as Levi, I mean, he was the first one to come back over, you know. He's got a full-time job. He has a girlfriend. He's doing so well, you know. He's moving on with his life. And all I want to do now is Kenzie, he's going to be the same. You know, he's happy, he's safe, he's well, you know. But I'll tell you what, that fight is still in me, and believe me, I'm never going to stop. And I want to fight and help other children out there, you know, and other families. If I can give you the help and support, I'm here. And, you know, and so is Shane, you know. There's people out there that will help. And I believe, you know, local authority, if you're listening to this, any local authorities out there, you know, please think before you destroy any children's lives and any parents' lives. That's all I ask, you know. You're there for the interest of the child, you know, and obviously in this case and probably many more out there, you've just completely ignored the child, you know, and this is a proof that you're not right and you never will be.
No,
I
believe children in care end up suffering more harm than they would in the hands or in the custody of their parents. So what I'd like to say briefly is anybody out there with kids in foster care, long-term foster care, whose life you considered, you consider them to be at a risk of harm, whether it be from drugs, sexual exploitation, county lines, or anything else, I urge you. I can only do so much. I'm a one-man band with my wife. I've got 6 kids of my own, and I'm self-employed, so time is of the essence. But if there are any out there that are being ignored by social services, children, young people included, come to me and I'll quite happily do the best I can for you. All I can do is put pressure on. I'm quite good at putting pressure on, because once you know the right veins to start hitting, you're all over them. So, you know, the only way really we've got the nipper back is through pressure. We proved through phone calls that they're neglectful. We've also proved that there's been underhand tactics done with the adoption of your children, Wayne, exactly. due to records, yeah, that we won't disclose right this minute. Is it fair to say I got from when we spoke earlier and previously that at some point we're going to take this case to criminal court?
Exactly. And
we're going to take them to court as individuals rather than a council, is that correct?
I was the first person in the country to take a private prosecution against the local authority. Obviously, through fighting for my kids and studying the family law, you know, for some years going through this, I collapsed, ended up in a coma and nearly died. But obviously I'm back fit and well, and I intend to pursue this until every person is held accountable. And obviously this law needs to change. It has to change. They have destroyed families. I've had no support throughout this, none at all, in how to deal with the situation. The local authority have shut the doors and don't want to know. You know, they've destroyed my children's lives and I've got to rebuild them on my own. Obviously, with the help of Shane, you know, and you people supporting us. But I'd say to any family out there, please don't give in.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
I'll let you get on with it, boys.
Yeah.
Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Cheers, Shane. Thank you very
Cheers,
much.
thank
for that.
you.
Thank you so much.
See you later.
Yeah.
See, a happy ending. Please, please, please don't ever give up. All right, I get it. The fighting, might have been drained because there's only you fighting. Wayne couldn't do it on his own. I give Wayne a crutch. I held his hand and we walked through the valleys of the shadows, didn't
Definitely,
we? But we
most
got there.
definitely.
We got there. A little bit of
Most
pressure, a little
definitely.
bit of help from an outside source does work, believe it or not. Being personal helps even more. Right, I wish you all luck. I wish you all goodwill to all of you, and I'll catch up with you soon. Take care.